Hello, and welcome to Bookends of Recovery, where recovery gets real and loved ones aren't left out. I'm so grateful you're here. I'm Laura, and as you know, I have lived it. I've lived through the using, the healing, and loving someone through their recovery and their healing. As you know, I am all about recovery tools, so that is what we're going to be talking about today. I don't know about you, but when something in my either recovery or my healing from betrayal trauma, when it had an actual action step to it, it resonated deeply with me. It almost made me feel like I had more control. Throwback to my love of control days. But it really made me feel like I was actually doing something instead of just kind of going with the flow and, this takes time, that kind of stuff. So when I had those acronyms that I could use, it just made me feel more a part of my healing and my recovery than just something that was happening to me. So then as I was going through it, I found out that recovery and healing needs to do something that I found extremely challenging. It asks us to pause. Yeah, that's just not something I'm great at, because pausing sounds simple. But when you're in the middle of either an urge or an emotional spiral or a moment when 2 seconds away from an unhealthy behavior, pausing feels like an eternity. So that's why I created these two tools that you can tuck in your back pocket, literally, like just write these down or print them out or whatever. And yes, of course, they're on my website. So pause is for those just heat of the moment urges when you need to step back quick, fast, and in a hurry. And then bookends, get it? Bookends of recovery. Bookends is for the deeper reflection. Either, afterward when, that pause has already taken place, when you're ready to unpack what happened. So that can be like, right after or the next day or whatever. All right, so let's break them down. So pause is the opposite of action. So think of pause as just that emergency brake in your car. Just when you feel the urge to either relapse, react, or just run, try this. Pause. Okay? P, pause. Freeze. Take a moment or 3 and just get your bearings. Remember to use those easy, simple, quick, fast grounding tools. We've talked about them before, like counting. 1, 2, 3, right? We can call that easily. Or reciting your ABCs. These are the things that come to you very quickly. If you have some that you use on a daily basis, if you already have mastered leaves falling or floating away or urge surfing, use that. Next is A, acknowledge the urge. Say to yourself, this is happening, I feel it. And make sure you're doing that without any judgment and no shame. Replace that feeling with a feeling of pride. Be proud of yourself that you recognized that there was an urge or that moment of uneasiness, that moment of fear that you wanted to run or react, and reframe it. Now, next is you. Understand the trigger. What just set this off? I don't need you to overanalyze it, right? We don't want to do that in this moment because this is the quick one, right? This is, the emergency brake. So it can be helpful, though, to notice if this was a person, place, situation, memory, or emotion, and jot that down somewhere. Put a note in your phone or write it on a post-it note or, scrap of paper, whatever. This way you'll have it to look at it later. So you can just kind of be like, oh, okay, I was around juniper and this made me happen. I don't know why I said juniper. I don't know. That's just what popped into my head. Okay, and then S, shift your focus. Step away. Move your body. Engage in gratitude. Yes, it works. Otherwise, I wouldn't keep repeating it. Look out your window, instead of at your phone, laptop, or TV, whatever it is that just got you whatever. Shift your focus. And then next and last is engage in a recovery tool. This can be something simple, just text a friend, squeeze a stress ball, drink some water, do a few deep breaths, recite your favorite mantra or lyric, poem, whatever, do a grounding exercise, something. But this is just something that's going to do a quick recess. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Just do it, and that is enough. Now we're going to go over bookends, which is a little bit longer. Once the moment has passed or the next day, this is how you figure it out, because the more you understand your patterns, the less power they have to just live rent-free in your head. Because what am I always saying, right? We want to evict the addict voice. We want to evict the unhealthy voice. Serve that thing eviction papers. They don't deserve to be living rent-free in your head. All right, so we begin with B, which is, of course, breathe first. Let's get calm. Those deep, deep breaths. The deeper the breath, the better. So make sure your breath is reaching your diaphragm. We want those deep belly breaths. You don't want to dissect these emotions, these triggers while you're feeling raw. So we want to start out with a calm, peaceful state of mind. And then observe what happened. Just kind of like replay it like a movie scene, because you don't want to get attached to it and get re-triggered again. So treat it like you're the observer. You're a third party. And this is your time to drill down. So when you're in that headspace of an observer, ask yourself, what were you thinking? How were you feeling? What were you doing? And just kind of look at it as if you were watching someone else. And then the next O is own your experience. It's yours. No shame, no guilt. And if you need to, this is your time to take accountability. This is your moment. I had this setback. And now I understand what I need to do, And you're doing this without wrapping yourself up in a blanket of shame. K is know your trigger. Identify exactly what sparked the urge. Remember, I said earlier to write it down? Well, this is when you're going to take out that scrap of paper or your note on your phone and take a look at it, um, and review it carefully, because, again, we don't want to re-trigger yourself. The next E, we're going to do a little bit of a deeper dive, because you're going to explore the need that was underneath everything. So, what did you need? Um, Many times we're looking for a need that's not being met. We may feel lonely, neglected, sad, scared, confused. We may not even have been taught how to process our emotions or our experience with our Remember, we've talked about family of origin, and that may have shaped us to feel like our needs aren't being properly met. And so we turn to those unhealthy ways to numb and avoid. So as you're working through this, being careful not to re-trigger yourself, be curious as you're thinking about it. Continue to explore it. And then we want to name your emotion. These things are like layers of an onion. If you have questions about emotions, I've mentioned before on here, just go to my website and type in the search bar, just emotions, and you can explore on there. But yeah, like I said, they're like layers of an onion. So some are just, simple, but they're raw. And others are very complex and nuanced and also shaped by our life experience. So it's okay if you can't name the precise emotion that you felt. Just make sure that you're doing the best that you can and you're being honest with yourself as you're thinking about how you felt. So instead of just being like, well, I felt sad, see if you can go a little bit deeper. Maybe it was actually rejection, or I was feeling overwhelmed. Next is D, which is decide what you wish you'd done. This is preparation, not punishment. So this is your moment to think about what would have been a better outcome than the one that occurred. And finally, S is, just support your next step. So write down your plan, tell someone, update your recovery plan. That's also, I have that on my website as well. If you have an accountability partner, let them know what happened. If you haven't already. If you have an agreement with your loved ones or your support network to keep them in the loop, this is your opportunity to do that as well. Reach out and let them know what's going on with your recovery or your healing, and remember to leave the shame behind. This process of recovery, this process of healing, it's not linear. There are peaks and there are valleys, and a setback will not define you. Look at it as, I know this sounds so life coachy, but look at it as a teaching opportunity. This is your moment to look back, evaluate, see what could have gone differently and what lessons you could have learned. Like, okay, I watched this television show and it triggered me, and now I know I can't watch this show anymore. Or I hung out with so and so and I should not have because this person's not a good influence on me, so I need to take some time and space away, that kind of thing. So we live and we learn. If you're someone who uses the three circles, I had this in my middle circle, and now I know I need to put it in my inner circle, that kind of thing. And I know Bookends is a long acronym, but so is the process of recovery and healing. Remember, it's a marathon, not a race. And sometimes you need to stretch out the reflection instead of rushing to fix it. I was somebody who was trying to rush through healing in the very, very, very beginning because I was like, yes, I'm totally healed. It's kind of like the whole, yes, I'm totally recovered. It just doesn't work that way. Give yourself permission to slow down. If you remember only one thing out of all of this, because some people are just like, I don't do acronyms. Pausing isn't weakness. It's actually power. You can't always control the urge, but you can control your response to it. And when you're ready to, pick up the pieces, make sure you do that with compassion and not judgment. Real change happens one pause, one reflection, and one honest moment at a time. As always, if this resonated with you, please come hang out over on my Substack. And I share more in-depth things over there for, real, raw, behind-the-scenes stories. I'll be sharing my adoption over there. Found out some pretty cool stuff about that that I don't share on the blog. And I'm also exploring a free online chat space over there about that, which was kind of crazy. So, yeah, I'm kind of stoked about that. So if that's something that you're interested in hearing about, you can find me at bookendsofrecovery.substack.com. And I'm also exploring a free online chat space. So if I get enough people interested, then I'll open that up. And of course, that's going to be completely, you won't, if you contact me, I'm not going to throw you on some email list. And as always, you'll find recovery and worksheets and blog posts at bookendsofrecovery.com and on Facebook, Bookends of Addiction Recovery. And this is Laura. I appreciate you spending time with me today. You are rock stars, so lots of positive vibes headed your way. Thank you, as always, for being here. I greatly appreciate you all.